I 32M, have a twin sister Jennifer, 32F, and I've finally achieved the perfect revenge against my family's years of favoritism and discrimination. Growing up, our parents consistently treated us differently. They were convinced that Jennifer was destined for greatness while treating me as the family's black sheep. The discrimination started early in our lives. I vividly remember our 5th birthday when Jennifer had an elaborate princess-themed party with bouncy castles, professional entertainers, and all her friends from kindergarten. Meanwhile, my celebration consisted of a small cake after her party was over, with just our immediate family present. This pattern continued throughout our childhood. Jennifer's achievements were celebrated with extravagant rewards, while mine were barely acknowledged. Our elementary school years were particularly challenging. Despite maintaining similar grades, our parents always praised Jennifer's academic performance while criticizing my study habits. They hired private tutors for her to maintain her excellence, but refused when I requested help with subjects I struggled with, saying I just needed to try harder. When I showed talent in sports, particularly baseball, they dismissed it as a distraction and barred me from joining the school team, insisting I focus on academics like Jennifer. The only source of genuine support in our family was our grandmother. She seemed to be the only one who recognized the unfair treatment. During her visits, she would secretly bring me my favorite chocolates and sometimes slip me $20, whispering that I should treat myself to something nice. More importantly, she would openly challenge our parents about their favoritism, though they always dismissed her concerns as misunderstanding the situation. Middle school brought more obvious disparities. Jennifer was allowed to join various clubs and attend sleepovers with her friends, while I was restricted to home and studies. When I developed an interest in art during my 7th grade, my parents refused to buy me any supplies, calling it another useless distraction. I resorted to sketching in my school notebooks and practicing during art class, finding solace in creative expression despite their disapproval. The situation grew more intense during high school. Jennifer was given a new laptop for her academic needs, while I had to use the family's old desktop computer. It was during these late-night sessions on the shared computer that I first discovered graphic design through online tutorials. I would stay up after everyone went to bed, teaching myself basic design principles and practicing with free online tools. The college application period marked a critical turning point in our family dynamics. Despite both of us maintaining good grades, mine were actually slightly better in some subjects. Our parents had vastly different plans for our education. They had saved a considerable sum for our college funds but intended to allocate most of it to Jennifer's education at an expensive private university, while pushing me to attend a local community college to save money. This decision would have severely impacted my future if not for my grandmother's intervention. When she learned of their plans during a family dinner, she confronted our parents in what became the biggest family argument I had ever witnessed. She threatened to remove my mother from her will if they didn't provide equal educational opportunities for both of us. It was only under this financial pressure that they reluctantly agreed to support my attendance at a proper university. College became my first taste of true freedom and self-discovery. Away from the constant comparisons and criticism, I could finally explore my interests without judgment. I chose a business major but spent countless hours teaching myself Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator through YouTube tutorials. My first design project was a simple logo for a local coffee shop near campus. The owner was impressed with my work and recommended me to other small business owners in the area. During my sophomore year, I created a basic portfolio website and started actively reaching out to local businesses for design work. I would spend my weekends meeting potential clients, often working for reduced rates to build my portfolio. By my junior year, I had established a steady stream of clients and was making enough money to cover my personal expenses without asking my parents for help. The contrast between my college experience and Jennifer's was striking. While she continued to receive constant support and attention from our parents, including regular care packages and weekly calls, I received minimal communication. The few times they called were mainly to ask about my grades or to share news about Jennifer's achievements. I gradually stopped initiating contact, focusing instead on building my own life and healing from years of emotional damage. After graduation, instead of pursuing a corporate career like our parents expected, I decided to turn my freelance design work into a full-time business. I had built a solid client base who appreciated my work ethic and creativity. Moving into an apartment with roommates, I established my independent life, completely separate from my family's influence. My journey of emotional healing wasn't easy. Weekly therapy sessions helped me understand the depth of the trauma caused by years of differential treatment. My therapist helped me recognize patterns of low self-esteem and perfectionism that stemmed from constantly being compared to Jennifer. Through therapy, I learned to validate my own achievements and build genuine self-worth independent of my family's approval. Meanwhile, Jennifer pursued her biology studies, fully supported by our parents both emotionally and financially. We barely stayed in touch after college, exchanging only occasional holiday greetings. Our parents made no effort to bridge this growing gap, seemingly content with focusing solely on Jennifer's life and achievements. The turning point in this story came last week. One of my high-end clients, a successful regional retail chain owner, posted an extensive review on Facebook, praising my professionalism and the impact my design work had on their business growth. The post went viral in our local community, with several business owners commenting about their positive experiences working with me. Suddenly, after years of silence, my parents reached out requesting to meet. I spent several days contemplating this unexpected contact, discussing it thoroughly with my therapist. Part of me hoped they had finally realized their past mistakes and wanted to apologize. After careful consideration, I agreed to meet them at a public restaurant, ensuring I had an exit strategy if needed. The meeting proved to be another disappointment. Jennifer, their golden child, was 2 months pregnant from a one-night stand at a party. She couldn't identify the father, having never asked for his name or contact information. Their solution was for her to move back home, where they would support her while she continued her studies. However, their retirement savings were depleted, and they had seen my recent success as an opportunity. They had the audacity to claim that as her twin and the baby's uncle, I had a responsibility to contribute financially to the child's care. The familiar pattern of prioritizing Jennifer's needs while dismissing my feelings was painfully clear. I immediately paid my bill and left the restaurant, ignoring my mother's calls about being a good son and the baby needing a positive male role model. The next day brought a flood of missed calls and messages from my parents, along with a lengthy, entitled text from Jennifer. She demanded financial support, insisting that since I was doing well now, I could afford to send her a few $100s monthly for the baby. Her message showed no acknowledgement of our past, no appreciation for my hard-earned success, just pure entitlement. That's when I made a decision that would change everything. I wrote a detailed Facebook post exposing the years of emotional abuse, their recent attempt to exploit my success, and their continued manipulation. I revealed every instance of their favoritism, the college fund incident, and their current demands. Within hours, the post went viral in our community, gaining support from friends, relatives, and even strangers who shared similar experiences of family abuse. Now, as my post continues to spread and my family's reputation crumbles, I'm finally taking control of this narrative. Years of therapy have taught me that I don't owe them anything, not my success, not my money, and certainly not my silence about their abuse. Let me know if you want to hear how my parents and sister are reacting to their public exposure. Update 1: It's been a week since I shared my story, and the impact has been far greater than I anticipated. I'm overwhelmed by the response from our community and want to share what has happened since my post went viral. Several family members have reached out with information that explains my parents' sudden interest in my success. My Aunt Maria revealed that my parents have completely depleted their retirement savings, partly due to their lavish lifestyle and partly due to funding Jennifer's endless educational pursuits. They had been keeping up appearances in our community, but behind the scenes, their financial situation was dire. Cousin Thomas, who works at the same country club as my father, shared that Dad had been quietly asking other members for investment advice and potential job opportunities for Jennifer. Apparently, she had never held a job throughout college or graduate school because our parents insisted she focus solely on her studies. They had been supporting her lifestyle entirely, believing her advanced degree would guarantee a high-paying position. The most revealing information came from Uncle Robert, who manages our family's longtime banking relationships. He explained that my parents had remortgaged their house twice to fund Jennifer's education and lifestyle. When they saw my client's Facebook review praising my business success, they viewed it as a potential solution to their financial problems. The community's response has been eye-opening. Mrs. Anderson, our next-door neighbor for 20 years, called me to share her observations of the differential treatment she had witnessed during our childhood. She recalled specific instances where my parents would celebrate Jennifer's achievements with neighborhood parties while ignoring my accomplishments completely. Several other neighbors have come forward with similar stories, expressing their regret for not speaking up sooner. What's particularly interesting is the response from Jennifer's former classmates. Many have reached out to share stories of how my parents would lavishly fund her participation in school events and activities while making excuses for why I couldn't participate. Sarah Mitchell, who was in our high school graduating class, remembered how my parents threw Jennifer an expensive graduation party but told relatives I didn't want one, a complete lie, as I was never even asked. The local business community has also been incredibly supportive. Several of my clients have publicly defended my work ethic and character, sharing their own experiences of working with me. This has led to an unexpected surge in new business inquiries, with many specifically mentioning that they appreciate supporting someone who overcame such adversity. The response from my immediate family has been telling. My mother called me crying, not because she regrets their treatment of me, but because their reputation in the community is now ruined. She attempted to justify their actions by claiming they always believed Jennifer had more potential and needed more support. Even in her attempt at damage control, she continued to diminish my achievements. My father's reaction was slightly different. He sent a carefully worded text message acknowledging that perhaps they had made some mistakes in their parenting but insisted that I was being vindictive by making private family matters public. He suggested that we could work something out regarding financial support for Jennifer if I would delete my post and help them save face in the community. Jennifer's response has been the most dramatic. She sent a series of increasingly hostile messages, blaming me for destroying her support system just when she needed it most. In her latest message, she revealed that our parents have now told her she needs to find a job immediately and can only move back home if she agrees to work and contribute to household expenses, conditions they had never imposed before. Local community groups have been discussing the situation extensively. The president of our neighborhood association, who had always praised my parents as model community members, expressed shock at the revelations. Several charity organizations where my mother volunteered have quietly distanced themselves from her. The most profound impact has been on their social standing at their country club, where they've held membership for decades. Several members have openly criticized them, and I've heard they've stopped attending social events to avoid confrontation. Their carefully cultivated image of being the perfect family with the successful daughter has completely unraveled. I've received hundreds of messages from people sharing their own stories of family favoritism and abuse. Many have thanked me for giving them courage to confront their own family situations. A local family therapist even reached out offering to facilitate a healing session if my family is willing to acknowledge their behavior and work on genuine reconciliation. My grandmother has been my strongest supporter through all of this. She's been calling daily to check on me and has shared even more stories of how she tried to intervene in my childhood. She's also been instrumental in gathering support from other family members who had witnessed the favoritism over the years but had remained silent. The exposure of my family's treatment has had unexpected professional benefits. My client base has grown significantly, with many expressing admiration for my resilience and success despite the lack of family support. Several business owners have specifically sought out my services, saying they want to support someone who built their success through hard work rather than family privilege. I'm maintaining my stance and refusing to delete the post despite mounting pressure from various family members. This experience has shown me that sometimes the truth needs to be told, not just for personal healing but to help others recognize and confront similar situations in their own lives. To those asking what's next, I'm focusing on my business growth and continuing my therapy sessions to process all of this. The support from the community has been healing in ways I never expected, and I'm finally feeling validated in my experiences after years of gaslighting and dismissal. Update 2. A month has passed since my last update, and the situation has developed significantly. What started as a simple Facebook post has evolved into a complete upheaval of my family's social status and Jennifer's life plans. My mother finally revealed her true thoughts during a tense phone call last week. She admitted they never reached out to me after college because they genuinely believed I would amount to nothing. Seeing my clients' glowing review shocked them into realizing I had built a successful business. She actually said, "We always thought Jennifer was the only one who could succeed in life. We never imagined you could do well without our support." The situation at my parents' country club has become particularly uncomfortable for them. The club's social committee, which my mother once chaired, quietly asked her to step down. Several longtime family friends have stopped inviting them to social gatherings. Dad's weekly golf group has reorganized, effectively excluding him. Their carefully constructed social life of 30 years has crumbled in just a month. Jennifer's situation has taken an unexpected turn. Her graduate program has become increasingly concerned about her ability to continue her research while preparing for single parenthood. Her academic advisor suggested taking a leave of absence, which sent her into a panic. Without her student status, she loses access to university housing and healthcare. The pressure has forced Jennifer to finally attempt locating the baby's father. She's been going through her phone records and social media from the night in question, something our parents had initially discouraged to avoid scandal. Now they're actively pushing her to find him for potential child support. My father's approach has shifted from anger to desperate negotiation. He's offered to sign a formal acknowledgement of their past favoritism if I'll delete the post and help restore their reputation. When I refused, he revealed they're facing social isolation at their church, where they've been prominent members for decades. The pastor has suggested they take time to reflect on their actions. Several of Jennifer's friends have distanced themselves, particularly after she kept demanding they lend her money for baby preparations. Her sense of entitlement, cultivated by our parents, has finally started alienating her support network. She's been forced to cancel her baby shower plans as few people were willing to attend. The most significant change has been in my parents' treatment of Jennifer. They've stopped indulging her every whim and started pushing her to become independent. They've given her a deadline to find employment, warning that their financial support will be strictly limited once the baby arrives. This is the first time in her life she's faced real consequences for her actions. My business has continued to thrive amid all this. Interestingly, several former family friends have become clients, saying they admire how I built my success independently. I've had to hire my first employee to handle the increased workload, a milestone I never expected to reach so quickly. Local community organizations have started inviting me to speak about entrepreneurship and overcoming family adversity. It's ironic how my parents' attempts to minimize my achievements have led to increased recognition of my success. The family's attempt to maintain appearances has completely failed. Their neighbors have stopped maintaining the polite fiction that everything is fine. One particularly telling incident occurred at the local supermarket, where my mother overheard someone openly discussing their shameful treatment of their son. My grandmother has become even more outspoken about the past, sharing detailed accounts of how she witnessed their favoritism develop over the years. She's been encouraging other relatives to speak their truth as well, leading to a flood of previously untold stories about my parents' behavior. Jennifer recently tried a new tactic, sending a mutual cousin to plead her case. The cousin revealed that Jennifer still doesn't grasp the depth of the situation, believing that I'm just being difficult and will eventually give in. She doesn't understand that this is about decades of mistreatment, not just her current predicament. The most surprising development has been the reaction from my parents' siblings. Two of my aunts have come forward with similar stories of my mother's entitled behavior in their childhood, suggesting this pattern runs deeper than I knew. They've stopped covering for my parents at family gatherings, letting the full truth emerge. My therapy sessions have focused on processing these changes. My therapist notes that I'm finally speaking with genuine confidence about my achievements, no longer minimizing them as I used to. The public validation of my experiences has been powerfully healing. Some family members are still pressuring me to fix the situation, arguing that family reputation matters more than past hurts. I've stood firm, explaining that accountability must precede any possibility of reconciliation. This exposure has forced my family to face the consequences of their actions for the first time in their lives. I've learned that sometimes it takes a public reckoning to break deeply ingrained patterns of favoritism and abuse. While my parents and Jennifer struggle to adjust to their new reality, I'm finally free from the burden of maintaining their carefully crafted family image. Update 3: 3 months have passed since my initial post, and the impact has been absolute and irreversible. What began as a simple expose has resulted in the complete dismantling of my family's social standing and their carefully maintained facade. My parents' social life has been utterly destroyed. They've formally resigned from the country club after several decades of membership, unable to face the constant whispers and cold shoulders. Their church congregation, once their primary social circle, has effectively ostracized them. The pastor recently used their story, without naming them directly, in a sermon about parental favoritism and its destructive effects on families. Jennifer's life has undergone the most dramatic transformation. After exhausting all her savings, she was forced to take a basic laboratory technician position, far from the prestigious research career she had envisioned. Her boss, who heard about our family situation, maintained strict professional expectations, refusing to accommodate the entitled behavior she's displayed her whole life. The pregnancy situation has taken an unexpected turn. Through social media investigations, Jennifer finally identified the baby's father. He's a visiting researcher from another university, and he was shocked to learn about the pregnancy. He's now involved, but not in the way my parents hoped. Instead of offering financial support, he's pursuing shared custody and demanding a paternity test, adding another layer of stress to Jennifer's carefully planned life. My parents' financial situation has become dire. Their attempts to refinance their house were rejected due to their deteriorating credit score. Several of their longtime investment partners have quietly withdrawn from joint ventures, citing risk management concerns. Their retirement plans are in shambles, forcing them to consider selling their house and downsizing. The most satisfying development has been watching their manipulative tactics fail repeatedly. When they tried to rally family support at a recent wedding, they were met with open criticism from relatives who had witnessed their behavior over the years but had previously remained silent. Even distant family members are now openly discussing instances of their favoritism they had observed. My mother's social standing has particularly crumbled. Her former lunch groups have dissolved, with former friends admitting they always felt uncomfortable with how she bragged about Jennifer while dismissing my achievements. Her attempts to join new social circles have been unsuccessful, as her reputation now precedes her. Jennifer's pregnancy journey has become increasingly difficult without her usual support system. She's been forced to use public transportation since our parents can no longer afford to buy her a car as promised. Her social media presence, once filled with academic achievements and travel photos, has gone quiet as she grapples with her new reality. The professional consequences have been severe for our father. His business contacts, many of whom were maintained through social connections, have dwindled. His consulting work has dried up as clients quietly distance themselves from the controversy. He's been forced to take on smaller projects just to maintain some income. My grandmother has emerged as the family's moral compass. At a recent family gathering, she publicly shared detailed accounts of how she tried to intervene in my childhood, including financial documents showing how she tried to ensure equal treatment through her own resources. Her testimony has effectively silenced any remaining family members who tried to defend my parents. Meanwhile, my design business has exploded. The exposure has led to partnerships with major regional brands who appreciate both my work ethic and personal story. I've expanded my team to 5 employees and moved into a proper office space. Success truly is the best revenge. The local business community has completely embraced me. I've been invited to speak at Chamber of Commerce events about building a business without family support. Several established business owners have become mentors, offering guidance and connections they specifically withheld from my parents. Jennifer's academic colleagues have largely withdrawn their support. Her department head, who previously praised her potential, now expresses concern about her judgment and commitment. Her research papers, once fast-tracked for publication, face increased scrutiny and criticism. The most satisfying aspect has been watching my parents' attempts at damage control consistently backfire. Every attempt to explain or justify their past behavior only leads to more people sharing their own observations of the favoritism they witnessed. Their reputation has been so thoroughly destroyed that even new acquaintances quickly learn about their past behavior. My therapy journey has reached a new phase. Instead of processing trauma, I'm now focusing on building a positive future. My therapist notes that my success is sweeter because it's entirely self-made, unmarred by any family assistance or interference. The community's verdict has been final and absolute. My parents and Jennifer have lost not just their social standing and financial stability, but also their carefully constructed identity as the perfect family. They're now known primarily as an example of how favoritism and entitlement can destroy multiple lives. For those who followed this story, know that justice doesn't always require legal action. Sometimes, the simple act of exposing the truth is enough to topple decades of carefully maintained lies. My family's downfall serves as a warning to others who might consider similar behavior. I've emerged stronger, more successful, and completely vindicated. While they struggle with their new reality, I'm thriving in ways they never imagined possible. The family that once dismissed my potential now watches from the sidelines as I achieve success after success, unable to claim any credit for my achievements. This will be my final update on this situation. The story has reached its natural conclusion, with every player facing the exact consequences they deserve. Sometimes, the best revenge isn't just success, it's watching those who wronged you lose everything they valued while you rise above it all.